Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am, as ever and always, your host, the runner. The premier runner, the lore runner, the review runner, the classic runner. Challenge runner. I like doing challenge runs. It's fun. I'd say speedrunner, but I don't get to do that often. I'd like to. My sister keeps insisting that I should just take some time every week and just stream speedrun attempts. No, seriously, we were literally just talking about that last Wednesday. Just last week. And I'm like, no. That's just gonna hurt the schedule even more. She's like, you're an idiot. She smacked me. Then she hit me with a hammer. Then she shot me. But it's okay, because I had another guy. You can see we only... like last week was just news. So much so that I had to get less sleep. Literally, in order to be on top of it. This week, there's really only the one news item. I mean, I could mention there's a League of Legends MMO, which is being made by Ghostcrawler, so any fans of WoW Vanilla will probably be interested in that. Not me, in other words. No offense to anybody who is, obviously. There are plenty of people who like WoW Vanilla. It's like Swerby over there. Swerby loves WoW Vanilla. Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that, Von Falkenstein, but let's hold off on talking about that until we're actually there. Thank you, Swerby. Very much appreciate those subs. Psychonauts, you got it. Oh, I knew I forgot something. I'll do it in a second. Music's a little loud. There we go. That should be better. I actually bought a new mic. It's not this one. It's this one over here, which is not plugged into anything right now. Because it's crap. I mean, I get why, but several people are like, you should try to get a good dynamic. You should get a good dynamic mount. Mic. Good dynamic mic. And I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. I'll try a dynamic mic. Why not? Business expense, right? So I have to have it right here in order for it to actually be able to pick up my voice at a decent volume. And it sounds terrible. Now that makes sense. It's a dynamic mic. This is more for stuff like, for example, to use a direct example, you could put a trumpet that you're playing into right here. And it is designed to pick up pretty much all the sound of that trumpet, despite being right in its face. So that's kind of... yeah. So, well, I could probably make that work. It just sounds worse in general, and therefore I don't think it's worth the effort. So, yeah. Moving on. Let's talk about the theater really quick. So I said you guys have the option to get your lines to me, and that would be Random, Linearuth, Ryokami, Reximus, and Galtori, and get a hold of me, and, you know, basically, let's get this frickin' done. We've been waiting on the theater for literally over 2 years at this point. I set the deadline for January. Yeah, by the way, Max Time, I don't know why it's doing that, and I can't fix it. I've already tried. That's why the second calendar is there now, to try and help mitigate the problem, because I can't fix the first calendar. Anyway. You thought it was February. Well, you thought wrong! But it's okay, because the point was, January was the deadline for people actually getting a hold of me, and making me aware of the fact that they're still involved, and they're still working on it, and that we've got some times. February is the you're getting replaced, no, really date. Even if you say, no, I've got it, even if you talk to me every single day, if you don't get me lines by February, you're gone. Sense make? Now, having said all that, there was another kind of thing in there, and that was the fact that I was mentally thinking, and I mentioned this out loud, that there was another deadline in my head, and that deadline was the next time one of the remaining characters gets a ton of lines to me, like some actual real progress done, that's going to be the point at which I'm going to start seeking other people, and yada yada. So, a couple days ago, Ryokami got me about 205 lines, which is everything up to about Chapter 7 done. Now, Lunaruth's right there in chat. I've talked with Galtori. I've been in contact with Rax. So we're kind of up to date on everyone with one exception, and that is Random Bystander, who I have not heard hair nor hide from in several months. I hope he's okay. However, regardless of my concerns for his safety, I haven't heard anything from him in months. He was voicing Kuja. So I'm going to go ahead and officially open up auditions for Kuja if anyone wants to try out for it. My requirements are, you have to have a good mic, you have to have a good recording setup. You know, a good mic doesn't mean anything if you're in a bad room. You have to do a really good job with the voice, and you have to be reliable enough to actually get me the freaking lines basically inside of a month. So availability is kind of what that last one is. If you qualify for all these things, please get a hold of me on Discord or some other method that you have. Preferably Discord. You have to have Discord to be part of the project. And, yeah. Now you're probably thinking, well, who am I auditioning against? Me. Now you're probably thinking, oh, nepotism. I don't actually want to voice Kuja. I already voiced too many characters in the FF9 Theater. I voiced like 30 characters in the FF9 Theater. However, I am the backup option for Kuja. So, you have to do better than me. Not that hard, but that is what you gotta do. If I don't get any people, then I will voice Kuja. Shrug. It'll be strange, because I also voice Garland, as well as Vivi. Or whatever. You've never heard me do a Kuja voice, unless you've watched, I believe it was the FF9 lore run on Falkenstein. So I will take offense to that. I suppose that would be... I don't understand your... I'm sorry. What, Myron? Where do you put my am I good enough for... Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. That actually hurts, Von Falkenstein. Wow. I have never heard anyone who doesn't like my Kuja before. Go figure. So... I mean, I don't want to voice Kuja. I'm just... That's the first time I've ever heard anyone say I don't have a good Kuja voice. Discord. Theater. Myron. Kuja's voice needs to bounce between two tonalities. Because Kuja's actual voice and his actual personality is very rough and coarse and brusque. Low tier, right? He actually basically sounds like Zidane in terms of his tonality, his word choice, and how he speaks. He puts on airs most of the game. And occasionally there's individual lines where his true tone peeks out. The airs he puts on, he tries to make himself sound like a high aristocrat, but he's not. He makes, it's basically, think of someone who's in a theater play, and he of course makes several references to this throughout the game. And he is effectively playing a role through most of the game of the yes, I am the high, but really he's more down here. This, of course, then, you know, comes to a head in Chapter 11, I think. Yes, No, it's Chapter 12, isn't it? My bad. Because then Chapter 13 is the final chapter, yeah. Anyways. So, if you want to try out, there's a theater channel in Discord. There's an auditions channel. There's actually a theater category. There's an auditions channel. Just put it there. Anyways, you guys have voted, sort of, on what we're going to do with Dealer's Choice and Tactical Choice. I have heard from many people that the question was unclear. I'll take ownership of that. So, the kind of consensus is that you want there to be both Dealer's Choice and Tactical Choice, which is fine. I'm generally defaulting to Tactical Choice. If someone says Dealer's Choice right now, I presume they actually mean Tactical Choice. Thus, if someone actually wants me to pick something that I want to pick for myself, they are the kind of person who will probably go out of their way to make a point of saying that rather than just saying dealer's choice. Ergo, they will go ahead and say that, and that will go to actual dealer's choice. That's the results of that. I have also put, I think I've mentioned this already, I have put very serious thought into taking some time next year and just saying, I'm just picking these games. I actually sorted out my list last night, which I'm looking at right now. As soon as it loads, there it is. And I have it by alphabetized, and I've already got the how long each run would be kind of a thing here. A lot of short games. There are some longer ones, like that one's a 70-hour game. That one's a 50-hour game. That one's a 40-hour game, etc. So there are some long ones here. But yeah, I've been sincerely debating just taking a few months and saying, you know what, and grabbing a few and shoving tactical choice into them. I haven't decided yet. That's a ways out. At the very least, we need to get through more of the queue first, and that means we need to get through the long months, which we're still in and probably will be until about February. Yeah, that's kind of it. So here's the topic I don't want to talk about. 10 reasons why. Before I go any further, I thought I'd do something, but I need to know how loud this is going to be. Let's see here. So how many of you... hang on. Put yourself mentally about 2 weeks ago. Maybe 3, okay? It's 3 weeks ago, alright? How many of you... 13 reasons why. You wouldn't believe how crap... How loud is this? I'll stop. That might be too loud as is. Maybe if I do it down here. There, that might be better. Hello, Mr. Red. Is this also loud? I can't really tell, obviously. If you rewind yourself about a month ago, and you were asked a question, which I'm asking you now. What's your opinion of CD Projekt Red? What would be your answer? These are like a mega not labeled. So this goes this way. It just... This is the weirdest model I've ever bought. I expected to be, you know, a model. It's a snap model. Have you ever heard of these? Like, I haven't made models in a few years, but it's a snap... There's no glue. You just snap pieces into place. It's the weirdest thing. Like, seriously, watch this, watch this. We just kind of push this up here. Kind of... snap that onto there. Except it's not snapping. There we go. And then just snap it in place. It's so weird. I feel so out of date. I bought this expecting it to be a model, not a snap model. I didn't even know there was a distinction. Wow. Technology, am I right? You can tell I'm up to date. Yeah, I guess I really am just out of date. I accept it, you know. It is what it is. Like I said, I haven't in a while. So yeah, CD Projekt Red. God. So I'm going to be repeating a lot of the stuff I already said during the Cyberpunk streams. So please forgive me for those of you who have already heard it all. But I hate being right sometimes. And I don't mean that as like a brag, you know, we were talking about this, like I don't like being right about bad things, you know? Like there's no... I don't know how to phrase this. There's no vindictiveness. There's no ha 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 ha, I was right, it's all crap. You know, it's more like, oh, it is crap. Damn. Now, Cyberpunk is not that bad of a game, but so I've been saying for literally years, and this is a part of public record at this point, about how many issues the management... Yeah, exactly, Gary. By the way, sorry I wasn't there earlier, Gary. I was late morning, and I wanted to exercise this morning because I haven't had time to exercise the last couple of days, and I sit down, and I'm like, all right, I got 3 minutes, and I notice a message from you. I'm like, oh, crap. Did you know they have snap models, Gary? Anyways, so... I mean, kinda, yeah, Act. There's no vindication. The only thing that vindicates me is that for years, again, plural, viewers have been telling me, no, Laura, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're an idiot, you're dumb, you're stupid. And, I was right. That's the only vindication I get, to know that I'm not actually as stupid as I sometimes fear I am. Not much in the vindication angle. But I've been saying that they have had management and design issues for years, and that Witcher 3 was lucky, and I stand by that, especially now. And having said all that, I am not, and I want to be very clear about this, on the hate train, but what they are doing and have been doing is almost comically bad. I made an analogy yesterday, which I shall repeat for you guys. 1 second. Like, oh my god, that train! Oh god, that train hit that other train! No! Wait, there's a third train? Why is a whale belly flopping the trains? Oh god, there's a chicken now! And at a certain point, it just becomes funny. And that's kind of where I'm at. Because it's just like, what? Now, I'm not doing an actual reporting session on this. You notice I'm just kind of idly talking while I build my Star Destroyer here. That's because this is what we call a developing situation. And this is a developing situation, so I like to hold off judgment until we have more facts. But, having said all that, this... What the heck were you guys thinking? Of course, I know exactly what they were thinking. That's the problem. Now, I'll pull it up every now and again to kind of show it periodically as I put this together. Apparently I need to put this in here. Building engines on camera. How? Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of... yes, this is a snap model ventures. Like I said, I've never even heard of these things. There's a lot of... I don't want to say he said, she said, but that is kind of where we're at, you know? There's a lot of maybe, kind of, sort of, might be trues going on right now. Like, a lot. And it's getting a little silly. And there's plenty of misinformation and anecdotal information, which is flying around right now. My favorite aspect about Cyberpunk 2077... I suppose that would be the characters so far. Second thing would probably be the setting. They do a basically perfect job of presenting the setting. It's actually quite good. If I were to picture Night City in my head, it is basically what we see in the game. Because, yeah. And I've played Cyberpunk before, as we've talked about. I used to play the PnP. Anyways... If you asked me specifically gameplay-wise, I'd have to think about that a little bit more, because the gameplay axis is not as impressive so far. No, I think I have my answer. I know what I would say for that. The brain dance sequences are my favorite thing, gameplay-wise. It's legitimately innovative and interesting and a cool development. How many of you guys have... How many of you guys like light Blizzard games? suppose I'll raise my hand on this one. See, that's... I just said I'm not reporting on that yet, Ventures, because, you know, lack of information, misinformation, developing situation. However, you did ask me my opinion, and I'll give you my opinion. I think Sony and CD Projekt, not CD Projekt Red, CD Projekt, are going out of their ways to blame each other as quickly and violently as they can, which probably means both knew this was coming. So that's what I think. Hello, Nas. Thank you, Mindbeam. I don't know what it wants me to do with this. This direction is very unclear. Oh, it wants me to do that? But that doesn't make sense. And it won't fit. It literally won't fit. Unless I do it this way. Yeah, okay. Okay, sure, we'll do that. See if that fits. There we go. Okay. There we go. Figured it out. Yeah, exactly. Blow off Alex. So... like, there's a lot of developing stuff here. The lawsuit may or may not be happening. The strike may or may not be happening. The internal issues may or may not be happening. But I'm getting off topic. So, Blizzard. Some of you may or may not know this, but Blizzard used to be one of the golden boys. You know what I mean by that. Can't do wrong. That's one of the companies we trust, and that's valuable for us as customers. And it is. No judgment. Because not all of us have the time and effort and inclination and care to sit down and look at, you know, all of the many things that develop for a game and determine how good a game may or may not actually be. So you look at, and this is the first video I ever put out on YouTube, literally, the first video was about this exact topic. We don't look at teams, for the most part. Some of us do. We don't look at individuals, we don't look at track records, we look at numbers, not numbers, labels, and the numbers they've pushed out. Who did the golden stuff? Well, it's a Squaresoft game, so it has to be good, right? And Squaresoft has been trying to capitalize on that exact mentality since the early 90s. Final Fantasy Legends, Final Fantasy Adventure. You know, also known as the first Mana game and the first Saga game, respectively. But no. We put the label on it. People trust the label. Blizzard was one of the golden boys, and they have since lost that status. Now, to be clear, I myself have quite a bit of ire towards Blizzard, and I want to be very clear about that. I am not going to come across as a Blizzard apologist. However, the amount and severity of the vitriol was kind of interesting, wasn't it? You know, people were not just upset about the various Blizzard things, they were very upset about it. Why is that? I feel like I'm missing a part. Oh, no, it's just the top. Yeah, that's the top. It just goes up top. I mean, the answer's obvious. I am speaking facetiously here. If EA pushes out, you know, some of the crap that Blizzard pushed out, nobody notices. There would be like a one-note thing. Man, EA. Pfft. And that's it. Maybe a video on YouTube. Maybe a comment. I myself have done this. You know, hey, EA pushed out another dumb game. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Whoop-de-doo. But if it's a golden boy, well, that changes everything, doesn't it? Where's the other piece? Where did the other... I'm missing half of my Star Destroyer. Guys, maybe I shouldn't take over the world. I'm losing ships. But yeah, it's betrayal, right? We react badly. You see where I'm going with this. I know I like to construct my metaphors slowly. But you see exactly where I'm going with this. Well, that's egotistical. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, if I was suddenly like, hey guys, I've decided to sell out, I would like to imagine... Damn it. Dive? Really? I would like to imagine that if I suddenly sold out and it was just terrible, that would bother you guys more than... I don't know, someone else. There it is! Who's already sold out, right? Because I don't do that. Because it's a betrayal. Because it hurts more. Because they have the pattern of not doing that. This stream was brought to you by this Star Destroyer. We're going to name this thing at some point. Because that's the hammer up there. I'm not sure what we're going to name this one. I was thinking about the Loreweek, but I thought maybe something Walker related. What do you guys think? This stream brought to you by... I just dropped an engine. Man, I really am a terrible leader. Look at this. Just dropping pieces all over the place. If I ever sell out, it's because I'm having trouble making bills. That's just the truth of that one. I'll tell you that up front. If I ever take a sponsorship deal, for real, and I've said this before, and this has not changed, there are only two circumstances there. Either one, I am legitimately desperate, or two, it is something I have seriously vetted and I can actually vouch for. In fact, I have actually sold out to many things already. It's just I haven't gotten paid anything for it. And if I plug something, Star Trek Online, it's because I legitimately think it's a great game that I think people would enjoy, you know? Oh yeah, Skillshare. That's another good one. That's true, I have Oculus. I don't need to sell out. I mean, there's a truth to that. I got you guys. And I am still thankful for you guys. And you guys are still awesome. Thank you. Now, NordVPN actually kind of sucks. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic. CD Projekt Red, there's a lot of vitriol in the last week towards CD Projekt Red. Whether it's justified or not is debatable. But I absolutely think... Does this really just go straight? Yeah, it does. Okay, whatever. I feel like I'm missing a step. Whether it's deserved or not, whether it matters or not, it's very understandable because CD Projekt were one of the golden boys. This is one of those things that I talked about constantly over the last couple of years was, guys, are you super excited for Cyberpunk? Well, not really. I mean, they made one good game. What about the other games? Or you just don't believe? No, I don't believe because I didn't give them golden boy status. Not really. Yeah, in CD Projekt Red we trust. This is a strange thing. I'm going to put this down to say thank you, Mega. As always, I do appreciate that sub. Thank you. And that's going towards Alliance 1, I think that was? It's already scrolled off the map. Yep, there it is. Listen to me. Chat log. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, it's a... I've heard plenty of people who are like, man, I haven't had any bugs at all. And you know what? That's awesome. And I mean that with total sincerity. It's not like I want... Again, if there's no vindictiveness here, I don't want people to have the bugs I've been having where I literally couldn't finish the game and would have had to just start the game over effectively in order to progress had they not patched that out. A game-breaking bug by my definition, and you know I don't give out that label lightly. Was fun. But yeah, no, it's just, it is what it is. But I mentioned Star Trek Online earlier. That got me thinking a little bit. I know Star Trek Online's a weird comparison to use here. But how many of you have played Star Trek Online? Okay, there's a snap here and it's not snapping. I'm not sure what's not lined up. Is it you? I agree with that, Ashley. Not a fan of the gameplay. Well, yeah. I mean, I like the ship battles. I do. I think there's a lot of good stuff in the ship side of things. If we ever review it, it'll get some pluses on that front. But yeah, the gameplay of Star Trek Online is kind of weird and stilted. The animations aren't good, you know. They look kind of PS2-y in terms of how the animations are done, right? The voice acting is inconsistent and, frankly, bad for the most part, except when they, occasionally nail it. The quests themselves actually have been gotten a lot better over the years, but, there's a fair amount of quests in that game which are just kind of bog standard or whatevers. You're probably wondering, what's the relevance here? And if you are, then I'm not doing a good enough job setting up my point, because I'm basically describing Cyberpunk. Now, whether that's deserved or not is certainly an interesting question. But that is kind of where I'm at right now. That is offset. Because Star Trek Online is a game that I love. Like I said, that I will plug without hesitation. But at the same time, it is a game that I have to recommend with several asterisks. Now, you could argue how fair that is, too. Because, CD Projekt Red is not exactly the studio that I can't think of the name of right now. And have a lot more money, and a lot more backing, and a lot more support. Blah, 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 blah. STO is not a AAA production. Cryptic, thank you. Couldn't think of their names. Cryptic. I may have to pull this top off. Here we go! No, but, yeah, I'm gonna have to pull the top off. I just snapped this into place, not gonna unsnap it. Can I unsnap it? I might not be able to. I might have to force this one. It just got me thinking, because I can accept and enjoy STO for what it is, but if I were to review it, it would... There we go, yeah, we're just gonna force it. I would still give all those negatives that it deserves, just like I have been giving to Cyberpunk. So, if you're paying attention here, that is two angles against Cyberpunk. Because the first is people who are really into the Golden Boy, people who are into the hype specifically, external hype. Then there's the people who are into the Golden Boy who are into the HOIP, because that is a separate thing. And then there are the people who are expecting a AAA production, which this is not really, to be completely blunt. This is a little bit more Elder Scrolls-y, if I were to use a specific terminology. None of that's to say the game is bad. But you see how there's three angles there, all of which basically boil down to this game is not as good as I think it should have been. And again, there's no judgment here. Because that's a very valid argument, isn't it? All three of them are valid arguments. And I only mention this because the scream train about Cyberpunk, on both sides, I feel like pointing out, has been kind of nuts. Kind of psychotic. It is on my list, Chocolate Rob, but yeah, it is not on the list or the queue. So no, I've never reviewed STO. Losing engines. It's always engines. It's always engines I'm losing. Yeah, it's only 10 and 0 on Metacritic. That's a good way to summarize how ridiculous this is. I imagine this will settle down, as it always does, but here's an interesting factoid for you. Just last week, so for those who are not aware, Fallout 76 is on the list for a review eventually by us. It's not in the queue, hasn't been funded yet, but it is on the list, so it is up for funding, okay? Now, why do I bring that up? Last week, someone noticed that on the list. I forget if someone brought it up to them or they just noticed on their own. And their immediate knee-jerk response was, "Oh God, you poor thing. Did you know that Fallout 76 is actually getting close to being a decent game now?" No, of course you don't. Which is kind of my point, actually. Not to defend Fallout 76, but the point I'm actually making is that reputations like that tend to last. Reputations like that stick with you. So even now, when Fallout 76 has, and it's been, what, a year and a half, finally started actually turning it around, it still has the rep of being pleh. And with good reason. I'm not trying to defend it. Yep. That was hard to do. It can change. See, that's the important part there. Can. No Man's Sky is actually another good example of this. We went back, if you remember. Our first ever follow-up run. We came up with a term, but I don't even remember it right now, because we only did one of those. We actually went back and were like, okay, what's it like now? And No Man's Sky is actually a decent game. Hell, I could go to the example, which is Final Fantasy XIV. But my point is, and this is really relevant here, that rep usually doesn't go away. Sometimes it does. Sometimes that rep gets overwritten. Takes a while. A retread, that was it, the retread run, thank you. This is exactly why, I mean, actually, there's like 5 reasons why. There's that wonderful quote by Miyamoto, which I always misquote, so I'm not going to try. Take your time with your release. Because whatever rep you get at launch, there's a chance you will never actually overcome that rep. You may. FF14 overcame that rep. StarCraft 2 overcame that rep. How's that for a weird one? Or not StarCraft 2, sorry, so Diablo 3. Diablo 3 overcame that rep. There's probably other examples that I just can't think of off the top of my head. But again, I use Fallout 76 specifically because that one is finally getting to the point of being a decent game, and it still has its rep, and honestly, probably always will. And, you know, deserved. Not arguing it. Let's point it out. Yeah, FF14 required tons of work and years of work. Not to spoil, but the latest patch, which I just streamed a couple weeks ago, is still acknowledging and following through on 1.0. Think about that. When did 1.0 come out? I mean, I don't disagree max time, but okay, we'll drop FF14 and we'll use Diablo 3 instead, because the exact same argument applies. We will see, won't we? It does make me wonder. Because at some point you have to decide. We don't know. And frankly, we will probably never know. But we have to decide, is this incompetence? Or is this malice? Now, to be blunt, I think it's both. I'll go ahead and give my answer to that right now. But, what about Anthem? Yeah, Anthem's still garbage. But that's because they haven't been bothering with Anthem. Not really. Anthem is, pretty much abandonware. There we go. Like, for example... there's that wonderful quote by, I don't have the name in front of me, so don't ask, the gentleman who says, "We don't have a crunch problem." That exact same person then is quoted as saying, sometime later, "We apologize for our terrible crunch problem." Now, that could be incompetence, but to me, that stinks more of brushing it under the rug. And that's more on the malice side of things in my book. That's more a, I know this is a problem, because, I mean, that's how that works, right? A crime of ignorance is a crime, but it's also of ignorance. A crime of knowing, that's a sin, right? I mean, that's like one of the oldest concepts in human history. Knowing that this is a problem and trying to brush it under the rug, to me, implies more malicious intent. My opinion. But again, who knows, right? And like I said, we will probably never know. It's come together. Check it out. Oh, we also got... like, there's actual things for the engines there. They're supposed to light up. Yeah, they're supposedly going to be pushing for mod support. I say supposedly because that information is so vague at this point that it's just... it's like one line of random dialogue by one dev. One patch note. You get the point. This is a... I don't remember which is which. This is the one without the wings, Reto. It's the classic, which I believe is the Mark 1. But I always get them confused, so I'm not sure which is which. Delaying is horrible for games rep. See, I agree, but also disagree. We actually talked about that already, too. There's a delay range. There's too early, which bothers some players, because, you know, duh. There's the button, apparently, that I hit by accident when I was bracing this thing. Oh, there was a button there. It is coming. I could stop here, just not put the tower on. I think that's all that's left. Yeah, the tower's all that's left. Where's the bridge? So the bridge does have an X. Yep, the bridge has an X. So there you go. What the hell's the title? Oh, yeah. So, there's a release window, right? We'll use this as a measuring stick. If you release too early, problems. This game. Then there's like a pretty big gap. It's a surprisingly large gap, and how big this gap is gonna vary. This is the problem. There's no such thing as a standard here. But how big this gap is, there is a gap here of acceptability when it comes to delays. Because while it will hurt its rep, and people will talk bad about it, and people will be stupid, and people will send death threats, and people will be idiots, the fact of the matter is, there's a gap of acceptability. In my opinion, good luck on them, Biga. There's a gap here during which people will accept it, and it will still sell just fine. When you get past that gap over here, this is when things get wonky. Now this, again, where it is depends on the game. Like for a smaller indie dev, this gap is much shorter, because people will stay interested in Unsung Story, to use a direct example, for a lot less time than they will stay interested in Cyberpunk, to again use a direct example. So, once we get over here, we start to have problems. This is, let's just call this the Duke Nukem range, because that's basically what this is. This range over here is when people are like, okay, and either it becomes a joke, Half-Life 3, or it becomes something where people lose interest in it, Unsung Story, or it gets to the point where no matter what it is, it's never going to be good, Duke Nukem Forever. And yeah, we can name quite a few games that sit in this gap here. There are exceptions to this, but they are rare. This is why I accidentally mentioned StarCraft 2 earlier, because I was jumping ahead in my mental notes. StarCraft 2 was in this gap, and by some miracle was StarCraft 2, and was a really, really good game, and sold sold really well, and then it didn't sell as well, and then it sold terribly, and now we've kind of killed RTSs. But anyways, point being, it is possible for a game to be in this gap and work, but that's the odds. That's rolling the dice. Yeah, Dragon Age 2 is an example of too early, absolutely. Dragon Age 2 should have been cooked longer. So should Cyberpunk. So you see my point here. I've talked about this range. Sorry, it's off camera. I've talked about this range several times, and gauging this is always going to be a matter of the specific game, the time, the market, the company, how the marketing buzz is going, etc., 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 etc. So there's no cut rule here, but getting into this acceptable range of delaying, if you can, you probably should. Now, Cyberpunk was announced way too early. This is a related problem, and something I have harped on about for years at this point. I get really, really sick of people being like, hey, there's this game, and it's going to come out later. And by later, I mean in several years. But we're working on it. Maybe. I understand why they do that. It's so they can put something and generate buzz for... it's a stock thing. It is a stock thing. It is for the market, for lack of a better way to put that. But it's still stupid, in my opinion, even from a purely financial perspective. Yeah, for the investors. Because what you are doing by announcing that early is opening yourself up to legal problems, which CD Projekt Red is currently dealing with. Opening yourself up to refund problems, opening yourself up to hurt sales problems, or opening yourself up to hitting this gap over here, which will demonstrably hurt your sales, and so forth and so on. There are, even ignoring, morality and decency and good business practice and all that, there are core financial problems with announcing things too damned early. And it needs to friggin' stop. God, it's just... It keeps happening. Hey, guys, FF16 is in development. It'll probably come out in about 2 years. Maybe. Square's actually really bad about this. Sorry, Pika, I'm not ignoring you, but Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually kind of a special case, because Kingdom Hearts 3 is one of those games that was actually only in development for a short period of time, but it was announced way in advance. Similar to FF7R1 and FF15. All three of those games had early announcements, but didn't actually start development when they were announced. It was more like, they were working on other stuff, and then they were working on other stuff, and then they were working on other stuff, and then, okay, now let's work on this. And yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm saying the same damn thing I've been saying for years. Short-term gain, long-term loss. And I'm sorry, you're probably sick of hearing me talk about it at this point. So I apologize. This rotates. The turret... I'm sorry, here. So, some of the big turbo-laser batteries are those ones on the side you can see it. And the turret actually rotates. I don't know if I can make you see that. I probably can't. Yeah, you can't really see that, but it rotates. That's hysterical. Well, FF15 is another example of that. They did a few concept things and threw together some ideas, and then they walked away from the project for years. And then, okay, now it's gotta happen. Make the game happen. Yeah, FF15, I talked about this during the review and during the lore run. FF15 was a rushed development. Think about that. Think about that for a second. In fact, my actual favorite example of this is actually a movie, The Hobbit. How many of you saw my ruminations on those? Because the behind the scenes of the Hobbit trilogy is just, oh my god. I feel bad, very bad for the people who worked on that trilogy, I really do. Yeah, you can hear it. For those of you not aware of the specifics with regards to the Hobbit trilogy, what happened was, like, very, very shortly after the Lord of the Rings, after Return of the King came out, they already started, like, the bare bones pre-work of, let's make a Hobbit trilogy. Actually, it was going to be 2 movies, sorry, let me be clear. So let's make a Hobbit, duology. Okay, so yeah, cool, let's work on it. We can't actually work on it. Well, why not? Well, we don't have the rights, and so we don't have the green flag, and so we don't have the budget. Okay. And then they just languished in development hell for years. And then, hey, we fixed it. Guys, go make the movie. You've got, I forget the exact time. I mentioned it in the rumination, but it was a very short period of time. It was like 13 months or 15 months or something like that. Yeah, 15 months. Go make The Hobbit. The Hobbit was rushed. Despite having... Come on, guys. I like the Hobbit trilogy too, but it was rushed. What do you guys think? Should we put the bridge on? Differentiate it from the hammer? How different does this look? About the same size, actually. That's kind of surprising. Look at that. There's some noticeable differences. Like this one, the engines are completely different, and this one has like a visible in-between, whereas this one does not. I mean, we already have the hammer, which doesn't have the bridge. What's my best example of a not rushed game? In what category? Because there's lots of games that aren't rushed. Stardew Valley, right? And there's tons of games that aren't rushed. You gotta give me more filter for that. We'll go ahead and put it on. Like this? Yes. Well, there you go. Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight. StarCraft 2. A rushed game that was improved by being rushed. Diablo 1. I do actually have an answer to that one. Diablo 1, I talked about this during the lore run, was actually a rushed game. Now, it was rushed by the people, the devs, and that is, I think, a legitimately key distinction. If someone external is forcing you to rush, it almost always is bad. Almost. If someone internal is like, oh god, we gotta get this out, then that tends to be a better acceptability. It tends to work out better because there's probably a good reason why they're rushing. And that's the key point. Reason. Why? Why exactly is it being rushed? Because Cyberpunk was rushed for two big reasons. Yeah, Diablo 1 was also crunched, you're right. Cyberpunk was rushed for two reasons. Demand from fans and demand from investors. Both were wrong. But if they had rushed the game because they had some kind of internalized reason for it, I imagine it would have turned out to be a much better game. Shields. Yeah, Thief 2. Actually, that's a good example. I didn't even think about that one, but you're right. Thief 2 was also rushed. God of War 4 was kind of rushed, but yeah, it also qualifies. God of War 4 also had tons of support. I don't know if Assassin's Creed 3 was rushed, off the top of my head. So... yeah, Lord Shock. How do... what? Oh, this goes in here. One moment. Do I think CD Projekt Red will rebound? So I can't decide that. It's not possible. I know that sounds strange, but when it comes to financial matters like that, especially when it comes to the specific types of financial matters, in this case, value of stock, who knows? Stock does whatever it wants to. Really. That's a good rule of thumb. You can try to predict the market, and you will be right some of the time. And then there's the rest of the time. Does this go this way? I think it is. Yep, there we go. Wait, nope. These need to be... no! But yeah, I'm not talking about will they rebound in terms of the popular opinion. That's also a who knows, by the way. For every No Man's Sky, we also have a Fallout 76, right? Hang on, I gotta do this so weird. I gotta put the... I don't know if you can see. I gotta put the pieces in there and then clasp it on. And of course, there's always going to be defenders and people who pick a side because that's human nature. We need to pick sides. We need to have an identity, especially if we don't have a core, something I'll be talking about a lot in Ruminations coming up next year. But clasp! Oh wow, that is not clasping. The way they'll manage in the next couple weeks is key. I agree with that. So far, they have not been doing a good job. And I just... on both axes, by the way, with regards to customer service, aka customer satisfaction, as well as purely financially, they have not been impressing me. It is worth noting that people are simultaneously over-reporting and under-reporting the fact that Sony actually pulled their game from the from PlayStation Store. What I mean by that is exactly the right call. And you're probably thinking, what? But think of it from an engineering perspective. Sony has their own weird refund setup, right? So for them to open up the floodgates on refunding, they had to open the floodgates hard. Which means it was now possible for anyone to just pick up the game, play it, and then refund it, because the refund gates are opened up hard. Which means they were facing a very serious issue without a particular long-term situation, so removal really was their only choice there. However, even ignoring that, this is kind of unprecedented right now. Sony removing a game from the online store, I know that has happened before, but it has never happened at this scale or this type. I think that's it. I think we're done. Yeah. What do you think, guys? Okay, where's the button? There it is. Probably Shikor. We'll see. But that's not what a lot of people are reporting. Again, this is somewhat unprecedented, that this doesn't happen, generally speaking. I haven't named her yet. Yes, Pika. Oh, haha, Imperial Star Destroyer. That does look nice. Get some decent detail in it. So you're probably wondering why I'm even doing this. Well, the actual answer is, you may or may not notice that the hammer over there, which is the one up on the shelf, is just kind of sitting there, because I don't have a stand for it. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to pop open this thing and see if and use its stand for the hammer. And I noticed it doesn't have a stand. I was like, oh. Okay, then. So now I just got 2 Star Destroyers that are just going to sit there, because I don't have a stand for either of them. Who knows whether or not CD Projekt Red... Excuse me. Who knows whether or not CD Projekt is going to rebound on this one, financially or in terms of consumer support. But I will be honest, if I was a betting man, I would say that they're not going to rebound anytime soon. They just have too much going against them. And the way they have been approaching everything has been so bad that, again, it's a train, getting hit by a train, getting hit by a whale, getting hit by a chicken. If I was in charge, my strategy would be try to avoid attention, period, and get off the radar while patching the crap out of the game that should have been patched up into next year and released next year anyways. I would also go heavily into mod support. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait, Lore, you've told me many times that mod support is something you need to bake in at the beginning when you start development. And the answer is, yep. Hope they did. Real quick. So we just built the starter chart, right? Woo! Can I share something real quick? This is made by my niece. It's a full Coliseum. Check it out. You actually, some of you who've been paying attention probably noticed this is already on my shelf, but I wanted to show it off because I'm astonished at how good of a job she did with this thing. My niece has always been rather creative when it comes to architecture and engineering, even when she was much younger than she currently is. So, this isn't really surprising, but it's still very cool. I'm legitimately impressed by how well designed this is. So I'll actually decide a spot for you later, but you're getting a spot. Yeah, exactly, Plutonium. Welcome to the arena! I don't even know what to say at this point. The game itself, I've had people already ask me, and I'm going to answer this bluntly. Do I recommend Cyberpunk right now? And the answer is, in a year. And that's my legitimate answer. Wait. Wait until time has passed. Wait until it's been patched a lot. Wait until the mods will be out, one way or the other. Because whether they do mod support or not, people are going to mod this. Witcher 3 didn't have mod support, and people modded the crap out of that. Wait for patches, wait for mods. Take your time. Don't rush it. In about a year, probably around next fall, I'd say, if you want to put a pink finger on it, I'd say the game will probably be a pretty good game, and will probably be absolutely worth it. Because even playing it right now, I can tell there's good core. And there is. There is legitimately good core inside of that game. And it's one of the reasons why I've been enjoying playing it, despite the fact that it's been irritating me constantly. And that's important. We've talked about this before when it comes to... why would I give a game negative for mods, Pika? That's a strange statement. Nice, we talk about this idea a lot, because core is really important. You can patch around core, right? You can fix and mod and fix around, but if you don't have a good core game, either in terms of story, gameplay, or both, you're going to have issues. This is once again why I compare this to Star Trek Online. Because weirdly enough, Star Trek Online actually has a brief... Well, 2 out of 3 good cores. The story, the space combat. The ground combat is screwed. There's no fixing that at this point. Although they've been doing surprisingly good effort with that, so I'll give them credit. But those 2 things are good cores. And thus, Star Trek Online is still a game that can be enjoyed despite its many issues. Make sense? Cyberpunk Online. Or, I mean, Star Trek 2077. I mean, I'm going to keep using the comparison. I'm going to mention the rumination, too. Because that's what it feels like to me. Oh, right. That's what that is. Upcoming DLCs? Okay. If they announce a DLC right now, bad sign. If they mention a... if they do anything talking about DLC right now, that is a bad sign. To be perfectly blunt, in my opinion, if they are working on a DLC right now, that is also a bad sign. Yeah, Raskor is absolutely correct. Release the game first. It needs to be released first, and we're not there yet. And to be clear, while I have encountered 5 major bugs, one of which was a game breaker, the fact of the matter is... That's fair, Platoon, I'll give you that one. The fact of the matter is that there is still a drastic lack of polish basically everywhere. How many of you saw the Arc 2 reveal with Vin Diesel? Any of you saw that? That was last week. We briefly covered it, but I didn't actually show it on camera. How many of you seen it? For those of you who have seen it, animations. When they got into the combat sections, when they got into that point where it's like, yeah, the animations were straight out of the PlayStation 2. They were bad. Cyberpunk has those kind of animations. Just weird and stilted and awkward and a little bit too fake looking and stuttery. In several cases, they just straight up teleport to a new location. I mean, I'm not talking about the escort thing. That was actually kind of smart. But I mean, like, in just cutscenes, they're like... This is part of what I mean. There's a lack of polish here. There's just a strange awkwardness to the whole thing. Someone in chat actually mentioned the stealth gameplay, which should be fun. Like, I love good stealth gameplay. Anybody who's watched my Deus Ex runs, or my Dishonored runs, or the Thief runs we will do, I love good stealth gameplay. But, like, the stealth gameplay should be fun, and instead it's like, why did... Oh, okay. I guess I'll just be caught then. This is one of the reasons why my current playstyle is stealth until I'm caught, and then shotgun. And that is literally the approach I've been using with regards to my playstyle. You know? Non-lethal. We're non-lethally defeating people. Yeah, exactly, Vlaskin. That's happened to me like 6 times already. Now, I want to mention something. Just briefly. Weouts has mentioned several times yesterday and today. You probably thought I wasn't paying attention. The idea of releasing paid mods for this. And I'm sure most of you are against paid mods, because that seems to be the general consensus. Allow me to professionally say what I have already said, because we've already covered this on this show. I'm okay with paid mods. They need to be done right. But the same thing can be said about everything. I like eggs, but if you fling some smashy eggs onto my face, that's not good, right? You have to implement it properly. The idea of making a system where people can be paid to make mods, done. Yeah, Black Mesa is actually a pretty good example of what I'm talking about. Or, what's that Skyrim mod? We actually did a review of it. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. That kind of thing is the kind of thing I think that... Enderal, thank you. Is the kind of thing that I think we should have an infrastructure to support and implement properly. And I think that a game like this could benefit from that because... Well, I mean, actually, if I'm being completely blunt, I think it's too late. I think they have already screwed this up. But if CD Projekt had walked up and opened up with, we're going to put in a system and we're going to implement this properly. We're going to make it so people can develop mods, and we're going to make it so that they can play it, blah, 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 blah. If they had done that properly, not only would that have garnered them a huge amount of additional goodwill, especially if they succeed where Bethesda didn't. Bethesda didn't implement it well, which is the main issue there. But also, that's huge. That's mod support. And anyone who knows anything about video games will tell you mod support is how a game lasts. Doom is really all I have to say about that, but I could name a dozen other examples right off the top of my head. So that would have ensured the game lasts, which ensures that game sales will continue, at least a little bit. It's a trickle feed. It's a repeatable income kind of a thing. Minecraft, yeah, it's another big one. Or Half-Life, yep. So it would have been a trickle feed of income thing. It would have garnered a huge amount of public support because we like mods. How many of you have played Skyrim? Yeah, actually, Skyrim's a great example of this. A game that really should have died by now, but hasn't because the mod scene is going nuts. Still. Civilization 4? Yeah. You get my point. This is the kind of thing that gives a game longevity, which gives a game customer support, which gives a game financial support. If they had done that up front, I think they would be in a lot better position right now. Because any company can take so many shakes to the system, shakes to the infrastructure, right? That's just kind of business. That's how that works. But it's how many shakes you can take and how well you can rebuild that. That's the question mark. And yet, Paradox games in general are a good example of mod things. Stellaris, Europa Universalis 4, Hearts of Iron 4, and of course Crusader Kings 2 are all very big mod supporting. So what's the worst thing about CD Projekt Red's gameplay? That's a good question. The worst thing. The controls, I think, is going to be the thing I pick at the top of that list. The controls are weird, awkward, and janky. You probably have noticed this watching me play, for those of you who've been watching the run. There is a near constant thread of whoops, or oh, or I didn't mean to do that, or oh, or okay, I can live with that. If you ever hear me say something like that or give like an audible response, it's because something happened that I did not intend. And it's something I'm just kind of getting used to. Because, yeah, controlling that game is weird. You keep getting guys. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if this is a Skyrim situation. That's true. Whoop! But yeah, this might be a Skyrim situation where Skyrim was clearly designed for console, and it suffered on its PC release as a consequence. Mods have since fixed that. Huh. But, yeah. No, the driving's fine when you have a decent car. By the way, pro tip, anyone playing the game, get a cop car if you can. Cop cars, those cars are good. It's the best vehicle I've driven so far. Anyways. I don't actually have much else to share here. It's the only news thing to talk about, and everyone was expecting me to talk about it, and again, I don't really have much to share because this is a developing situation, although I have talked about this for 40 minutes, so what the hell do I know? I do want to talk about Star Trek briefly, because to my knowledge, we are doing the Star Trek thing tonight. This is... yeah, of course I do, Loner. This is, so, for those of you who care, the Star Trek Rewrite Project stream should be, I should check Discord right now, see if there's a thing there. Because I think he's back in town. No, we're not doing the second half of Season 1. We're doing it a little bit more tidbitty. We're basically moving forward a few steps into Season 1. And that's kind of the question, like, what kind of stories do you think should exist in early Season 1 of Enterprise? That's really what this boils down to. Because we've already kind of established our baseline. And we've established the idea of slowly reaching out to the Klingons, and that's going to be like a season-long arc. And we're going to talk about the Vulcans, and we're going to talk about the Sengoku Jedi thing, which all of you guys know about, except for Reloaded, because he doesn't know anything. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't throw shade. I don't mean it. He's a cool guy. And, yeah, like establishment. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with early Enterprise stuff. And, I don't know. I'm thinking, like, encountering... See you around, Mr. Like, we could have a thing where, for example, we encounter a race of the week, because it's Star Trek, you gotta have a species of the week. And have a race of the week thing where they have encounters with other races in the area. And just kind of interconnect a little bit, right? Like, I know you're thinking, well, we should be on the frontier, but actually, I don't think this should be the frontier. I think this should be, like, the neighborhood, right? Like, Season 1, in my opinion, should be focused more on, like, this Sector 001, basically. Which is still a large chunk of space, especially with limited at going up to, like, Warp 5. But, you know, it's the neighborhood. Everyone around here has basically encountered and met everyone else. And, as we established, just about everyone hates everyone else, too. With the exception being the Vulcans and the humans, and that's, like, it. So they should be like, hey, who are you? Oh, we never encountered your species before. What's up? Oh, well, we're doing this and the Vulcan. And they see T'Pol, and they're like... And they're like, what? You have a Vulcan? I'm afraid. Whatever. God, we're under attack! We're under attack! Quick! And like, what? No, what? What's going on? We've heard about the Vulcans from the Andorians. What? Yeah, we've tried to trade with the Andorians. That didn't go well, but... yeah, death to the Vulcans! It's just, whoa, whoa, whoa! And that could be the episode, right? Is trying to figure out what the frick. And in the process, world build a little bit. Try to help establish the setting for viewers. Bolians? Really? I do agree with the idea of using some expected races, though. Especially TOS races. I'm still going through Enterprise, but there was a... I'll discuss this in the Enterprise Ruminations, which start next year. Hope you guys are looking forward to that. But... or I guess actually I have discussed this in the videos going live next year. But there was a rule, a mandate, that you couldn't use TOS stuff, and that rule lasted a weirdly long time. They had to literally fight to get just the Andorians into Enterprise. And then, obviously, as if you paid attention to Enterprise, that rule kind of drifted away as Enterprise started having issues, and they finally abolished the rule by Season 4. They abolished all the rules by Season 4. But if you're ever wondering why they kept having random new people in Season 1, it's because that rule still existed. What do you mean allowed, Weods? Oh, you mean like the captain going down, the captain beaming down? See, the thing is... I'm actually okay with that in specific cases. Cisco a couple of times, like individual case-by-case kind of a thing. And I also think, as weird as this may sound, Kirk doing that makes perfect sense. Not that it's the smart thing to do, but it does make perfect sense. Speaking as someone who has very recently gone through all of TOS, which was just a few months ago now from my perspective. By the way, yes, all the TOS ruminations are done. Woo! Kirk has a continued and recurrent character thread of being too self-sacrificing. I actually never noticed that until I went back through the ruminations. And when I say too self-sacrificing, I mean he will gladly and effortlessly throw himself away if it will save his people, his crew, his ship, his away team, whatever. With that kind of person and that kind of mentality, it makes perfect sense that he would be the one to always go down, because he wants to be in the front, in between danger and his people. So that, I'm okay with. Too self-sacrificing is suicidal or deluded? Neither. Too self-sacrificing is a problem I have in real life. It's also a character trait I wrote into one of my characters. Yeah, Picard did that a few times, but Picard, for the most part, was more okay with being on the ship. It's just a degree of moral imperative that overwrites pragmatism for the most part. That's really what that boils down to. Kirk tends to get away with it because he's the main character. He probably shouldn't have gotten away with it as many times as he did. But at the same time, in the interests of fairness, it is worth noting that a lot of Kirk's strength was his crew, and that was still true even in TOS. Yeah, he's not suicidal. He doesn't want to die, but if he had to pick a choice between himself or his crew, he wouldn't hesitate a millisecond on that one. And he doesn't, repeatedly. But yeah, a lot of the times his faith is in his crew and what his crew can do to back him up. There's actually something that pulls him out of jams many times. He's there, doing what he can to delay and get information so that his people can fix the problem. This is a very recurring thing in the show. That even showed up in the movies, too. So, anyways, I'm getting off topic. Oh, Lore Reloaded's finally getting back to me. You don't like the music? Hang on. I'll pull up Stellaris. That should fit. No, I'll pull up StarCraft. We need to talk about Kirk. And then we need to talk about Enterprise. And then we need to talk about Star Trek in general. And then we'll talk about My Little Pony. Anyways. What? Enterprise. Sorry, we got way off topic. Way off topic here. Yeah, I love StarCraft 2's music, by the way. That was StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm intro cinematic. I could see Pinky dancing to that song, I'm just saying. Can we talk Gowron? No. Not yet. Ripenta. That's right, we're doing a Discord episode today. Would you respond? He started responding to me. Alright, Enterprise. So, neighborhood. Establishment, Vulcans. So the away mission thing. Now, I was actually thinking about that. Sorry, I was actually going somewhere with that. I like the idea that we could do a thing where... So Archer's incompetent, right? Like, we've already... I mean... Obviously, he's incompetent in the show, but he's not supposed to be incompetent in the show. Of course I do, Zachtev. What I mean by that, though, is that our version of Star Trek, our version of Archer, is deliberately incompetent. And I don't mean that as an insult. We already talked about this. He is literally in over his head, right? I like the idea that he's going to insist on heading up a lot of these missions. And as we've already talked about, no transporters. I mean, obviously the transporter is much more limited in our setting in general, but they're not going to have transporters in Season 1. If they do, it'll be like once, you know? And it'll be the Vulcans have a transporter. We talked about that. So, no transporters. So they have to go down with the shuttle, which is going to entail all sorts of other problems. And I like the idea that him going down and heading up the away missions is a problem. What I don't know is, should it be a recurring character arc, or should it be a one-episode thing? Because I can see it either way. I wish... Either. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Okay, there will not be a Star Trek stream tonight. Sorry. But, like, I love the idea that Reloaded is so terrible at everything he does. Oh, what's up, dude?
Not much. I mean, you're not wrong.
Nah, I'm kidding. So, yeah, no... Yeah, I can hear you. They can hear you. You are live, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Just FYI. I know you don't watch my streams because you hate me. But, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah, so, okay, the big thing, and I wanted your specific input on this, if you don't mind. So, Archer's incompetent, right? But... so We Outs came up with an idea where we should make it so that the captain going down shouldn't be standard priority, except for a few specific cases like Kirk, which makes perfect sense, and Archer. And what I'm thinking, and there's two directions I can see this going in, and I'm sure you can see the angle here. Either we could have a whole episode where the plot of that episode is Archer goes down and it's a problem. Or we could have it be a recurring thread throughout season 1 where he insists on going down and it is a consistent problem. And bit by bit, T'Pol and Tucker and Reed are like, dude. And it just keeps becoming more of an issue. And Archer just kind of grinds his heels in, Character arc thing. What do you think?
Yeah. Discussed that a bit before, but yeah, a character arc would make a lot of sense for him to have to build back up because he wasn't ready and everything, and it was political. Mm-hmm. And when he actually becomes the captain, he turns against those who had put him there. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Awesome, cool. So yeah, I wanted your input. Several people in chat liked the arc idea as well. By the way, I want you to say it. Do confirm we do not have Star Trek tonight.
Yeah, we don't because of.
Okay, so now I can blame him, guys. It's not my fault. Don't be angry at me. Don't throw that. No, I'm kidding.
You wouldn't be wrong.
No, I mean well, blame is the wrong word here. If we want to get actual real for a second, stop joking. I just want you guys to know there's going to be no Star Trek stream because I actually said last night there would be, and that's on me, so that's my fault. Someone think of the children. Listen, we're not going to have character arcs in Star Trek because Star Trek hates arcs, except for Discovery, I guess. I don't know.
You're just covering for me. That's what it is.
Actually, yeah, no, it's all on me, guys. I'll be the blame figure. I'll be the CD Projekt Red here. No problems. Nope, DS9 didn't have character arcs. There's no character arcs. Sorry. What we had? I'm sorry. What is a Cerity?
Is he talking about the Cerritos?
Well, no. He says you need to be Cerity, Cerity, to go on away missions.
I'm not sure what that is.
No, my Archer is definitely not like the Mirror one. Oh my god. Mirror Archer is a comic book villain. He is he's a Saturday morning cartoon villain. And that's the point. He is just I'm gonna kill puppies. Yuck. And that's Mirror Archer. What's up?
No, actually I was gonna say, yeah, he's Prime Archer with less competence.
Yeah, no, I agree, Justin. I don't quite agree with you, but I do agree, jokingly, with you. Certified. Okay, so we could have that be part of the arc. Like we could bake in another character. Reed feels like the best pick there for someone who's trying to establish protocols, right? Because all this is new and nobody knows what's going on and blah blah blah. Reed could be the one who kind of bakes in the idea of. You need to go under certain certifications to go on away missions at all. And if you remember, which I wouldn't blame you if you don't, because most people don't remember details like this about TOS, and I only do because I just watched it. In TOS, that was a thing. Certain people were away certified. And that came up a few times when Kirk was like, oh, we need to send this person. Or no, someone else would say we need to send this person. Kirk says, no. That person isn't they didn't say certified, but he's not cleared. He can't go on away missions.
Well, Reed did that in the show anyway.
Yeah, he just failed at it. But you're right. Reed did also try that in... he also invented Red Alert in one episode. One random, just out of nowhere episode.
Yeah. But again, he tried to set policies here and there, so, it would fit in with his character.
Yeah, I think I agree. And that'll give us a connecting line between Reed and Archer, which, frankly, they need more of, because... They've tried that in one episode of Enterprise. It was actually a good episode, but they, no.
Which episode where he was trying? Was it where Reed was like unusually awkward?
No, it's Minefield. It's the first one. It's the one where the Romulan mine gets stuck to the ship.
Sure, I forget if that's the one where he's unusually awkward. Like, was it Archer? Someone was trying to talk to him, like ask him stuff, and he just tried to keep it all business.
I think that is that episode, yeah, because he was saying, we need to have a professional decorum. It's not the place of a captain to fraternize with the crew, and Archer's like, that's not how I command, yada yada yada. So I think that is that episode, yeah.
Yeah, but that just comes all the way. That, like others, is just out of nowhere for Reed too, though.
Yeah,
he's usually pretty amicable. He can have a conversation with you and everything, but all of a sudden. he doesn't know what a baseball game is if the captain is there.
Yeah, inconsistent writing was one of the biggest issues with Enterprise, and especially early Enterprise, since it's another reason for smoothing it out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was Voyager bad, but it was up there for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, that's all writing. It just needed to be a real family like DS9, or just friends that worked at the same place like TNG.
I agree. If they could have been friends who work in the same place like DS9, they might have actually escalated eventually to becoming a family like in TNG.
Yeah, because I'll let people watch the 2 series and make their own decisions. I'm comfortable leaving it right there.
Anyways, sorry for bugging you. I just wanted your feedback on the ARC thing super quick. I'll let you go.
That's fine. Hope the audio's not bad. I'm on my phone, so...
It's obviously a phone.
Oh, well, sorry about that.
That's good. Anyways, get out of here, dude. I'll see you in a week, I guess. Oh,
Yeah,
you should have a package
that.
showing up, by the way, in a couple days, just as a heads up.
Oh, sweet. Well, if I end up missing, it's going to be a bad clip.
Well,
for people to
I
get.
don't know when it's going to get there, so... I'm not in control of that.
Don't know when you're going to go missing, so...
Anyways, I'll see you around, dude.
You've been liking Cyberpunk?
I mean, I am enjoying the core experience, despite the constant irritation, I think is how I want to phrase that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to jump back on and watch you play a little more. You're still playing it, though, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing for at least a week. I haven't even finished Act 1 yet.
Where are you right now?
I have just done the mission where we get the drone with Jackie, and I now have to go turn that into Dex to actually go and kidnap the dude. It's the, I think, 4th main mission.
You have to go kidnap what dude? With Jack? Okay, so you're still with Jackie. Okay. Wow, yeah, you haven't. What the hell have you been doing on that game?
Everything else.
Okay. I'm sorry, man. You're running a live show. I was just like, wow, that is not anywhere.
No, I have 100%. I've been 100%ing, and I have 100%ed so far. I have done everything other than the main story at this point.
Yeah, because I was going to say, the main campaign feels a little short, so Act 1 isn't too hard to get past. So
yeah, I'm sure I could do it in like an hour if I wanted. Anyways, yep, get out of here. I'll see you, dude.
Talk to you later.
Anyways, so yeah, no Trek tonight. Oh yeah, in our version, Starfleet is a frickin' military. Because it's a frickin' military. Anyways, we're done. It's a military. All right. So I guess that's actually it. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop off the local recording.